Hey everyone, Charlie Morgan here, and in this video I'm going to walk you through my protocol for working and focusing for 12 hours a day like a millionaire CEO. This is a 29-step protocol, and I know it works because I've personally used it every single day over the last 5 years to make nearly $40 million online. Now I want to preface this video by saying the following. If you're the kind of person that has brain rot and can't sit and focus for more than an hour or two uninterrupted, you're never going to make it. You're never going to be successful. There's no Subway Surfers in this video. There's no edits. There's nothing crazy or shiny. It's just me talking to a camera about how I've personally focused to make nearly $40 million. And if you can't even sit through that and watch that, there's no chance of you ever making it. So I want you to lock in, pay attention, focus up, and let's get into the protocol and talk about how to do it.
So the first step to working and focusing 12 hours a day like a millionaire CEO is identifying with doing it. And there's two forms of identity that you can construct, an external and an internal identity. And what this basically means is you're more likely to do things and repeat behaviors if they are associated or aligned with your self-image and the image that other people hold of you. And so in your life, you've kind of got two identities. You've got the identity that you are, and you've got the identity that people think you are. And what you will do is you will construct your social identity, your external identity. And when you're with people or around people, you will try your best to uphold that image to seem congruent and consistent with their expectations of you. And so what you want to learn to do is you want to learn to identify externally and internally so that your expectations of yourself and other people's expectations of you are that you work really hard. And so the easiest way to do this is start telling everyone that you work 12 hours a day and that you focus 12 hours a day. And I've been doing this for like 5 years. In fact, I'm on YouTube telling you that I do it, right? And so what that does is it creates this natural expectation, or that's just what I do. And what I can tell you is it's really, it is difficult to focus and work for 12 hours a day, but it's draining and it's exhausting and it's biologically, stressful. But identity trumps biology in command of the body. And what that means is that if we have like a hierarchy of things that determine your behavior, your identity and your self-image, what people think you are and what you think you are, has way more weight over what you will do and how you will behave than how you feel or how your biology is configured. And if you don't believe me, just look at people that go on hunger strikes. It's like they can literally kill themselves just because they're holding up this image, right? And so that's the first thing. Tell everyone that you know that you work 12 hours a day and that you focus 12 hours a day. Don't say, I'm going to try it. Say, I already do it. Because if you try, you can fail and you can set the expectation. And if that's the image you create, then you're in trouble. The second thing to that point is creating an internal self-image. So telling yourself that that is what you do. Now, this is a little bit trickier because, you can lie to yourself and you can sort of construct your self-image to pretend that you work so other people think you do. But you need to look at yourself in the mirror and make the decision, I am a 12-hour worker. I am a 12-hour focuser. Like, that's just me. And you can do this. It really just come down to making a decision and actually just saying to yourself, like, I do this now. That's just who I am. And once you identify with it, you'll act it out. And the reason this works really well is because our identity determines our actions. If you don't believe me, like, look at anyone who wakes up at 5 a.m. Look at anyone who's run a marathon. Look at anyone who eats carnivore or does some sort of really strict discipline thing. Like, they will make sure that you know about it. Like, people that wake up at like 5 a.m., like, they will tell everyone. People that, eat really clean, they will tell everyone. People that exercise all the time, they will, or training for an Ironman, they will tell everyone. And so this is like, we take a lot of pride and we form a lot of identity around these behaviors and these habits. Like, if you've got a friend that journals, I bet you know about it because he's probably told you, I journal, bro. Like, it's we love to use disciplinary, behavioral, regulatory mechanisms like habits as virtue signals to show other people that we are a good person or that we are upholding some sort of desirable set of traits, whatever the hell it could be. And so this is a great way to work 12 hours a day and focus for 12 hours a day, is tell other people you do it and tell yourself you do it and tell yourself you do it enough times to the point where when you wake up in the morning, like to not do, you're like, what the, I should be in my office. I should be working. It's a great way. Number one thing. The second thing is have a big enough goal and enough work to do in time. So a lot of the time, the reason that people struggle to work 12 hours a day or focus 12 hours a day is simply because they do not have to. And so what you want to do is you want to construct a goal that commands that you work 12 hours a day. Something that is so big and so large, at least in contrast to your current state of existence in life, that there's no other real way to do it. Like my goals in my business, in my life, the visions that I have for my company are so gargantuan and massive that the only possible feasible way that I even have a snowball's chance in hell of hitting them is if I work really, really hard. Because big goals come with very big to-do lists. If you've got this big vision, and it can just be financial. Like if you want, I want to be a billionaire, right? And there's not a single, I tell you now, there's probably about 4,000 billionaires on the planet that we know of that are listed. And there is not a single one, with the one exception of people who inherited that, and I'm not going to have that, so I can scrap that off the cards. There's not a single self-made billionaire that didn't work 12 hours, probably more than 12 hours a day, consistently for decades. Not a single one. Maybe there's like a one exception. Oh, but Elon Musk, it's always Elon Musk in it, but it's incredibly rare. And so by having a massive goal of just ridiculous proportion, you have no choice. And if you care about that goal, if it matters to you, if it ticks a bunch of psychological boxes and needs for you, you need to do it. You need to work. And then the cool thing about having massive goals is a big goal will demand a lot of work. There's going to be lots of things you've got to build, lots of things you've got to do, lots of people you've got to hire, if it's business, for example. And there's going to be very, very repeatable tasks as well. So for example, with my first business, my first agency, I worked 12 hours a day making cold calls. I did nothing, and I'm not even joking, I did nothing but cold call for basically 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, 6 days a week. And that's all I did on the phone, just ring, answer. And that was it. And the reason that was the case is because I was starting from scratch. I was a beginner with no experience. I had no money to my name, and I wanted to get to 10K a month so I could get to 100K. I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 21. And this was when I was like 18, and I ended up getting it done. I was like, I need to be a millionaire by 21. That was my goal. It was my one big goal, and it was a huge goal. Because, when you're probably well aware, when you're broke, being a millionaire seems like this insanely ridiculous, huge pedestal goal. When you're actually there, you realize that it doesn't really matter and there's just more things to do. So have a big goal and make sure that you have enough to do. Because one of the reasons that people don't work for 12 hours a day or don't focus 12 hours a day is not because they don't want to, it's because they don't have enough to do in the day. Because their goals are too small or they're moving too slowly. And so when you've got a goal, you can imagine your goal is here. And, there's a bunch of steps you have to, imagine this, like proverbial steps that you've got to climb. And like a lot of people do is they just try and climb like one step a day. And that one step might just take like 5 hours to climb, like just one thing they've got to work on and build. It's like what you want to try and do is climb as many steps as humanly possible in that 12-hour window, and don't be afraid to do tomorrow's work today. So if you thought that, if you get halfway through the day and you're like, oh, I've got nothing to do today, as soon as you start telling yourself, I've got nothing to do, your goal's not big enough, you're not moving fast enough, and you're being an absolute idiot. Like, if the only time to say you've got nothing to do is if you've achieved your goal and you don't have another one. Like I'm a millionaire now. I'm going to retire. I've got what I want. I've got nothing to do. That's the only time you should be saying there's nothing to do. Like, other than that, big goal, you need lots to do, because otherwise what the hell do you do with this energy? The third thing to working and focusing for 12 hours a day like a millionaire CEO is to have a small circle. So one thing that's really imperative is keeping your social circle very small and very tight, because there's nothing to get you out of the office quite like social obligation. So I think I could probably count on one hand how many friends I have. And I'm not just talking about like external, peripheral, sort of shallow friendships. Like, I've got probably like 5 or 6 really, really close friends, quite a few of whom I work with, that I know I can always rely on, that I know I can go to if I need help, and that I will always be happy to help as well. Understand that a friendship, at least one worth keeping, is a two-way street. And when you're friends with someone properly, you are emotionally and spiritually connected to that person, and you have a moral and social obligation to them if they need you. And so because of this, you don't want to have many friends. Like, I see people who are like these socialites who have got like, you know, like groups of like 30, 40 friends. And it's like, how are you going to get anything done when all those people can call on you if they need you? And so, you know, the 5 or 6 very close friends that I've got in my life they mean everything to me. And, you know, I talk to them all the time. I help them all the time. They help me all the time. We provide each other emotional support, moral support, relationship support, you name it. But you only want to be doing that for a few people, okay? And the other great thing about having a small circle and having these friends, and I've been friends with these guys for like a decade now, and I've got some other friends that I met recently, but I'm very picky with my social circle because, you know, that whole idea of you become the 5 people I don't know if I actually believe that. The whole, like, you become the 5 people you're closest to. Like, really? Like, okay, there's some merit to it, but people take it too far. Anyway, small social circle. When you have a smaller social circle, you have less, like, stuff to do socially, first of all. And also the cool thing is, what you want to try and do is take that social circle and groupify it. So what you don't want to do is have lots of individual friends, if that makes sense, that don't know about each other. You want to have, it needs to be a circle where you're all friends with each other. And by constructing this, everyone helps everyone. And if you're not there to help someone, then other people can hop in. And I know that this sounds like a bit of a psychopathic, sociopathic way to handle friendships. But when you work 12 hours a day, and when you focus 12 hours a day, you can only do that by being ruthless with your time and by being completely borderline psychopathic with your personal life and with the time that you would spend outside of work. Because your outside of working hours become insanely valuable to you because they are the only time that you can possibly construct relationships, have hobbies, or do anything outside of work. And what you don't want to be doing is spending that time on people that you don't love, people that you don't care about, people that don't have the same values as you, people that aren't interested in helping you, and they're just shallow. So keep your circles small. Really important. The 4th thing is say no to everything. Now, there's a couple of exceptions to this. I'll explain what it is first. Charlie Munger, who was a billionaire, Warren Buffett's business partner, Warren Buffett called Charlie Munger the abominable no man. So, you know, you have the whole abominable snowman, like that archetype or that movie or something, the abominable no man. And a lot of people, most people, are what we would call yes men. And what I mean by yes men is they say yes to everything. It's like, oh, do you want to come on this trip to Bali, bro? Yes. Do you want to play paddle, bro? Yes. Do you want to come for drinks, bro? Yes. Do you want to play video games with us, bro? Yeah. Like, people are going to ask you to do lots of things, and they're going to ask you for lots of things. And as you become successful, and especially as you become financially successful, people are going to ask for a lot of things. It's like you're going to have like 1,000 leeches just latching onto you, trying to get your time back from you, trying to get money from you, and all these things. And you need to learn to say no to everything. And I've done this to the point now where a lot of people won't bother inviting me to things because they know that I will say no. And that is exactly what I want. And I know, again, that this might sound psychopathic, it might sound sociopathic, it might not sound normal, but this is the thing, is if you want abnormal results in life, you can't behave normally. And, you know, when I lived in Dubai, for example, I lived there for 2 years. Dubai is a very social city, especially if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're a successful one. And, you know, I would get invited to stuff at the beginning by all these people that knew I was there. And I was just like, nope, I don't want to come to the barbecue. I don't want to come to the party. I don't want to come to the rave. And eventually people just stopped inviting me because they knew I wouldn't ask. They knew I wouldn't come. And don't get me wrong, I wanted to go to those things, but you've got to give something, because working 12 hours a day, like the way that it works is it's like you wake up, you work, you wake up really early in the morning, you work until the sort of mid to late evening, and then you've got this very small window to wind down and relax, and then it's bedtime. And then, you sleep for 8 hours and then you go again. There's very, very, very little time. Like really, it's 12 hours of work, 4 hours of relaxation, 8 hours of sleep. And then you just repeat that cycle over and over again. And if you're saying yes to everything, then you're either going to be eating into the time in which you can work, you're going to be eating into the time in which you can relax, or you're going to be eating into the time in which you can sleep. And what I can tell you is that, and we'll talk about this later, is that the time in which you relax and the time in which you sleep are just as important in the time in which you work. So a lot of people are like, oh, but I'll just go to that dinner and go to that thing because it's outside of working hours. It's like, yeah, you're going to go to that dinner, but it's going to be this horribly stimulating experience with this networking thing, and now you're going to have a few drinks, and you're going to break your diet, and now you're not going to get back till late, so you're going to be sleeping a little bit later. Like all these little things. If you want to be a high performer, and if you want to be a top-notch entrepreneur or business person or whatever it is you're trying to achieve, you've got to be so dialed in. Like even going to bed 10 minutes later than usual matters. You just got to be dialed in. And when you go out, you increase your social surface area, which means you get invited to more things, which means you get more distracted, and this, that, and the other. So you can have a social life, and you can have a big social circle, and you can say yes to everything, but it will come at the cost of the amount of time which you can work, the intensity of your focus, and therefore the level of results and success you achieve. Okay? I always say, if you want to, I'm going to say no now, but you can come on my yacht when I'm 70. It's like, I don't actually say that. That would be the most pretentious thing to say to someone. But just say no to everything. Like, become a no man, and then people will just stop asking. And then it's kind of like, oh, I'm not going to bother asking Charlie because he'll just say no. That is exactly what you want. You want to miss out on things. You want to avoid things. Now, the difference is if someone within your very small social circle proposes something, then it's fine. But your social circle should be working hard, and they should be on their own grind, and they should have their own value of working hard and focusing, which means that they don't often propose ideas, but when they do, they mean a lot. And so, for example, something that I did a while ago was go paintballing with my friendship group. And it was really fun. And we just went on Sunday, and we did it for 5-6 hours, and then we all just got back to work. And so you don't have to say no to everything all the time, but it's like, hey bro, do you want to come to this event? Or do you want to come to this wedding? Or do you want to come to this thing? It's nope. Say no to it all. Number 5, get out of the house every day, in brackets, cabin fever. So if you're going to be working for 12 hours a day, then you're probably going to be doing that at home in a home office, because as digital entrepreneurs or as someone making money online, we have the luxury of the capacity of exercising our work ethics from the luxury and comfort of our own homes. And that's great because it's very efficient, and it's really helpful because everything you need is available there. You've got your bathroom there, you've got your home comforts there. There's some other issues that come with it, but we'll talk about those later. And your environment is very familiar, and you can cook when you need to. You've got access to the water, and it's all simple. But one thing you want to be doing if you're working from home is get out of that home once a day. And this can be whether it's like going to the gym, as simple as that. If you're not going to the gym, just go for a walk. And literally just getting out the house for 30 minutes a day will massively increase the intensity of your work when you're in the house. Because look, here's the thing. What a lot of people do is they'll start the week on Monday. And, as entrepreneurs, we like to be sort of dialed in and locked in, right? So you start on Monday, and, you work 12 hours, you chill out in the evening, you go to sleep, and then you don't leave the house. And then you do the same thing on Tuesday. And after 3 days of that, 4 days of that, you start going a bit weird. You get this like cabin fever-esque sort of like neurotic, weird like feeling. And so that then encourages you to start saying yes to things. It encourages you to start like breaking your routines, breaking your habits, breaking your patterns, just to socially engage with people or breathe fresh air. And so like, especially if you're living in an apartment, like just get out of the house every day. Just go for a walk, go to the gym. You know, sometimes it's appropriate to go for dinner with a friend or something, but just get out of the house. Because it's very hard to stay like locked into that state when you're just in these four walls all the time. Like it's really unhealthy, and it's not conducive to proper focus and work at all. And like, you know, don't be afraid to do this like middle of the day. Like if you're just really like, if you're like really in the zone and you're really struggling, just the focus thing, I just can't do it anymore. And just go for a quick 20-minute walk, you know, and then you come back and you'll be surprised just by how getting out the house, things actually get way easier. Okay. So number 6 is sleep for as long as you want, but sleep early. So I wake up every day between 5 and 6 a.m. I'll set an alarm if I've got meetings in the morning or very important deadlines to do in the morning, but sometimes I won't set an alarm, depends. And the key to productivity, one of the keys, is just allow your body to sleep as long as you want, because sleep is recovery. And what your body will do if you let it wake up naturally is it will wake up when it feels adequately recovered from the stresses of the previous day. And so what a lot of people, when I say wake up whenever you want, a lot of people then just start waking up at like 11 a.m., 12 p.m. I can tell you that there is no like substitute for productivity quite like working at like 5 a.m. Like if you wake up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., the first couple of hours of the day, all you're going to want to do is work, because there's nothing else to do. There's no one available on social media for you to message. There's no one in your team messaging you. Like there's no disturbance. It's dark outside. You can't go anywhere or do anything. There's nothing interesting to even consider or do. And you don't want to just sit on social media and just scroll. So you literally just get to work. And so sleep long, but sleep early. So you want to be going to bed at like 9 p.m. You want to be going to bed like between 9 and 10 p.m. and getting like a full 8 hours and then waking up between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. And that's how I've done it. That might not work for you, but I would encourage you to try it. Now, if you want to get into the 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. protocol, then what you want to do is set an alarm to wake up at 5:30, for example, every day for 5 days. And the first 5 days, you're going to be really tired because your circadian rhythm is going to be completely out of whack, and you're really going to struggle with sleeping because you're going to be like, oh shit, like I'm exhausted, right? And so what you want to do is set an alarm, 5 a.m., go to bed when you usually would. You'll probably sleep like 5 hours the first night. It's going to suck. Second night, again, you're going to sleep like 5 hours. It's going to suck. Then you're going to be really tired. It's going to really hurt. And then by like day 3, 4, and 5, you're going to be so tired that you're going to want to go to bed early. And a lot of people say it's really hard to sleep early and to go to bed at like 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. because they're like, oh, but if I try and go to bed early, I just want to sit on my phone, or like I want to socialize. But let me tell you something. If you're working 12 hours a day and you're focusing for 12 hours a day and you're adding some exercise on top of that, you will love your bed and you will want to sleep early. By the time I was watching this show last night with my girlfriend, and it got to like 9:30 p.m. I was like, I'm just knackered. I'm just going to go to bed. And when you're working really hard, like you will just want to go to sleep early, especially if you wake up early. So sleep as long as you want, but wake up early. So be up between 5 and 6. And, you know, the cool thing about that, because this is the thing, like if you want to have anything approximating a life outside of work, you need to start work really early. Because if you start work at 6 a.m., then you can finish work at 6 p.m. because that gives us a 12-hour work day. Maybe you take like 30 minutes for lunch, right? And another 30 minutes for a little break. But overall 11, 12-hour work day, it's kind of in the same thing. And so if you start work at 6 a.m., then you finish work at 6 p.m. And that then gives you, you know, a 3-hour, 4-hour window before go to bed. Whereas if you start work at 10 a.m. and you finish work therefore at 10 p.m. in your 12-hour slot, then you now still have another 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed, but you're not really going to be able to socialize or healthily, normally integrate with society and your peers if you're going to bed really late. Because let's say you go to bed at 10 p.m. and you're like, okay, I'm going to sleep at 2 a.m. so I wake up at 10 a.m. and get 8 hours. It's like, well, now you're going to be, your downtime is 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m. And who the hell's about and available then? Like, you know, you can't play sports during that time. It's a bit weird to go to the gym because a lot of gyms are closed, and, you know, so just get up early. That way, by the time you finish work, you're still finishing work with society, but you just started like, you know, 6 hours before them, basically. Yeah, pretty much. So number 7, avoid morning routines except cold showers. Again, this is what works for me. I used to have a very extensive morning routine where I kid you not, like my routine, because I thought it was what you had to do, like as an entrepreneur. Like I woke up early, I'd take a cold shower, and then I'd meditate, then I'd read. I'm not even joking. I would read for 30 minutes. I'd track my sleep in a spreadsheet. I'd track my reading in a spreadsheet. Then I would do my affirmations and my mindset work. Then I would journal for another 15 minutes, and I would go to the gym. So I literally had, I'm not even joking, it's laughable now. My morning routine was like 3 hours long, and it involved like really intensive workouts. It involved like very intensive meditation, journaling, reading. Like I would literally wake up at like 6 a.m. and I wouldn't get to work until like 9:30 or 10 a.m. And the problem with these behaviors, with these self-help morning routine behaviors, is they take a lot of energy. And you've got to imagine that your day, you have like a personal battery, and everything you do in that day that requires discipline, willpower, or energy exertion drains that battery. And your brain and your physiology cannot separate journaling from working. It can't separate meditating from working. It can't, all these things that they tax the universal credit of energy expenditure in your body. And so what I've did over the last 5 years is I just started cutting away things from my morning routine. Like I eventually got rid of the reading in the morning, and then I got rid of the meditating, and then I got rid of the journaling, and then I got rid of the mindset stuff. And then eventually I was left with just this one thing, which was the cold shower. Because I was like, I need to shower in the morning anyway, because it's kind of gross not to. And so I just did that. By the way, if you want to get an extra couple of minutes a day, brush your teeth in the shower and try and finish the shower by the time you finish brushing your teeth. If you're having cold showers, this is the thing. Small little tidbit hack here. Don't take warm showers in the morning, because you've got this mountain of work to do. You've just woken up, and warm showers feel very nice. In fact, one of the interesting things that I found out about dopamine a while ago is that one of the biggest things that releases dopamine into the brain is warm showers, and also cold showers as well. They kind of have the same effect. But when you wake up and you're it's 6 a.m. and it's cold and it's dark outside, and you've got this mountain of work ahead of you, and you go and it's very tempting to just stay in that warm shower for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just stay there because it feels nice. Cold shower, the cool thing about a cold shower is what it will do is it will drastically strip your body of inflammation. So, if you've got any inflammation in your body, cold showers really reduce that. And it will give you way more energy, and it will drastically reduce any brain fog. If you've got any toxins that your body needs to release from having overslept, whatever, or underslept, cold showers, they work a charm to just sort of snap you into that sort of focused zone. Especially if you keep your head under the cold for a good 10 seconds, you'll get this real sort of visceral reaction, and you'll just suddenly be really clear, and your brain fog from the sleep will just be gone. Really great productivity hack. But besides doing a cold shower, you just want to avoid morning routines. You don't want to make work and focus conditional to any other behavior. For me, for the last couple of years now, I've experimented with different routines, but I've had my most productive year ever, and that's happened with literally me just I wake up. The thing about waking up is the second you wake up, get out of bed. Like you don't, because this is the thing is it needs to be this sort of go, go, go attitude. Like you want to be from the second you open your eyes to laying your fingers on your keyboard should be no more than 5 minutes. And I mean that. So like, you know, I'll wake up, I'll get a bottle of water, and rather I am breaking a bit of a cardinal sin at the moment. Hang on. Of using these plastic bottles, but my water filter broke the other day and I haven't had the time to replace it, and I don't want to drink tap water, so I figured it's better to get microplastics and have it clean than get much microplastics and everything else that comes in tap water. But I wake up, water, electrolytes, creatine. That's a minute, right? Down. Maybe 10 minutes. You can have 10 minutes to your morning routine. Then I'll literally turn on the cold shower, right? Whilst I'm usually turning on the cold shower first thing, because it takes like a minute to run cold. Then I'm drinking water, done, brushing teeth, in the shower. I'm in the shower for like 2-3 minutes. It's freezing, it's horrible, it sucks, but it feels amazing. Finish brushing teeth, dry myself off, put my clothes on, walk to my office, bang, done. That takes me like 10 minutes tops, right? And it doesn't require any willpower. It doesn't require, well, the cold shower does, but after doing it for a while, you'll be fine. So anyway, no morning routines. Do not make your work conditional on a string of self-help behaviors. If you want to journal, journal in the evening. If you want to read, read in the evening. But let me tell you something. If you're working 12 hours a day, focusing 12 hours a day, you will not have the time nor the energy to read or journal or even meditate. Let me tell you something. I used to meditate, read, and journal every day, religiously. For the last year of my life, I haven't meditated 1 minute. I think I've read like one book, and I haven't journaled. Like all of these self-help habits, they kind of go out of the window when you're actually doing what you need to do. And what a lot of people do is they invent this self-help, self-development routine to avoid doing the painful work. And self-development habits, they make you feel productive, and they make you feel good about yourself, and they make you feel all warm and fuzzy. It's better than scrolling Instagram, and it's better than drinking, but it's not better than working. And so you want to get rid of these habits. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but trust me, just try and work for 12 hours a day. Like actually, like put in a proper shift, like wake up at 6, finish at 6. And then sit down on the sofa in the evening and try and open a book on philosophy. Like by that point, your brain is so scrambled and your adrenaline glands, your adrenal glands are so burned, and your willpower and discipline is so drained that you just like the words will just fall off the page. So people that like boast about how much they journal, I'm like, yeah, but you're probably not working that hard, are you? Like, yeah, you've got this nice, neat little color-coded book that talks about what you've done every day, but what have you actually done every day? Fuck all. So fuck off. Number 8, utilize intermittent fasting. So something that's really benefited me from a productivity perspective is delaying the beginning of my digestion throughout the day, because digestion requires a lot of energy and it requires a lot of calorific expenditure. Believe it or not, like it takes calories to get calories. And what that means is when you eat, especially if you're eating like high protein, high fat, your body has to send like blood to your gut to absorb the nutrients, and the digestive process is taxing. It takes energy, right? And so what you want to try and do is, I'm not saying don't eat because you have to eat, but I'm saying like try and get like at least like 6, 7, 8 hours out of your work day before you eat your first meal, because they will be way more productive than the latter ones as soon as you have that meal. And so intermittent fasting is an incredible way to focus. Like the focus that I feel and experience and my willingness to work when I'm fasted is mental. Because what a lot of food does is it sedates you, it makes you slow, it makes you sluggish. So eat late. Like my routine right now is I usually start breaking my fast at about 2 p.m., 1 p.m. And then I will eat another meal probably about like 8 p.m., before 8 p.m. So I've got this kind of like, what was like a 6-hour eating window which means that I'm fasting for typically 18 hours a day, sometimes 20 hours a day. Sometimes I'll do a full long day fast, but I usually won't do that often, okay? So get yourself a little eating window, get intermittent fasting. You'll find it'll make you way more productive. The first week or two of it's going to be really weird and difficult because calorie compression can cause all sorts of like weird biological changes, because in order to change the times at which you eat, you're going to have to like shift your hormones around, and everything in your body is going to have to like shift forward. And that can feel quite uncomfortable. It can cause like weird digestive like changes. It can cause weird stomach changes, hormone imbalances. It can mess with your sleep. It can cause you to have low energy. It can change your mood. After like a week or two, all those things balance out and your body will sort of rebalance. The benefits of fasting are very apparent. You know, not only does it help you like live longer and make you healthier, like to me, those are just like benefits. Like the main benefit for me is the focus you get from being fasted. Think about it, like human beings were like born to fast because like food when we were evolving was pretty scarce. And so when we were on the hunt, for us, hunting is working. When we were on the hunt, we would have been hungry. And you hunt better if you're hungry, which makes a lot of sense because you have way more incentive to catch the prey. And we can extrapolate that biological premise and apply it to our work. Hunt hungry, work hungry. You'll be way more focused. This is how we used to do it. It's how we should do it now. Okay, alignment with nature. Number 9, on the topic of diet, avoid eating any carbohydrates until the evening. So here's the thing. I'm not going to prescribe a specific diet to you. I'm not going to tell you what you should eat. I'm going to tell you a few things in a later point about what I think you should avoid to eat if you want to be more productive. But if you want to eat carbs, eat them in the evening when you've finished work, because it's really hard to work through a blood sugar spike and a blood sugar crash. And so, you know, if it's like 1 p.m. and you eat a massive carbohydrate-based lunch, what happens is, and you can't argue with this biologically, your blood sugar spikes, your insulin does all these weird things, and what goes up must come down, and what goes down usually overcorrects. And so if you eat loads of sugar and loads of carbs, you're going to get this sudden instantaneous wave of energy, but very quickly after, you're going to feel very low in energy. And that's your blood sugar crashing. It's your insulin like doing these like crazy things. And you're going to feel that, and it's going to discourage you from working. It's going to discourage you from focusing. And so what you want to do is avoid carbs until the evening, because like carbs, what they can do if you eat a lot of them is they can really sedate you, because now you've given your body this like massive meal and it's got to like deal with it and process it and dedicate energy to digesting it. And you know, that can kind of suck. So yeah. So point number, where are we here? 10. So in addition to the carbs, no external stimulus till evening. And so what this basically means is you don't like, here's the thing. When you're working, your work kind of, you're working in like this bubble. And what that means is nothing outside of work can enter your sensory awareness. So we'll talk about the phone thing in a bit and the laptop thing, but you don't want to have any external stimulus or any contact with the outside world until you've finished your workday. And so imagine that like when you start your workday, you're locked in to this zone, and that is the work zone, right? Which is basically your personal space, your office, your laptop, your company, whatever it is you're working on, right? You do not want to have any contact with the outside world until you finish that work. I'm talking social media, I'm talking the news, and I'm talking other people. Now, obviously, you're going to engage with other people if you live with them, or you know, if you're working with other people. But generally speaking, you don't want to be like messaging people and shit like outside of work. Like those first 12 hours a day are sacred to just work and work alone. And if you want to catch up on things, you can do it outside of work, right? So one way to keep your day consistent and your work consistent is to keep your dopaminergic load consistent. And that's a fancy way of basically saying you want your dopamine receptors to be firing at a steady rate. So here's the problem that a lot of people have. They do really well in the morning and they work really hard in the morning. But the second they go for lunch, everything falls apart. A, because of what they eat at lunch, but B, because of what they do at lunch. And so a lot of people during their lunch break, they'll open up YouTube and they'll start watching YouTube videos. Or they'll open up Instagram Reels and start scrolling through Instagram. Or they'll open up social media and start like scrolling on Twitter. Or all these behaviors, like what they basically do is they overload your brain that is already starved from dopamine because you've been in this sort of like monk mode work state. And then you have to come back from that. And so imagine it's like a graph, right? It's like, you're working, and then lunch comes around and this is your dopamine level. So work, focus, like steady. And then lunch comes around and you spike it real hard. It's like now we're eating loads of shit food and we're scrolling on social media. And so our dopamine's just shot way up away from baseline. And now you have to come off of that and you have to come back to work. And so you're going to come down. And where we were here before it's steady baseline, we now go below that. Because this is called entering a temporary dopamine deficit state where you've overshot your baseline significantly and now you've come back down to baseline, but the way you feel about baseline is really bad because it's like you have this overshot contrast because now you're coming back to boring old work away from this like Pleasure Island weird play that you created for 30, 40, 50 minutes in your head on your lunch break. And so now you've got to come back to baseline from that, and you've got to sort of lock your brain back into this old dopaminergic, lower state for the rest of the day. And that's really hard to do. And it's possible, and I'm not saying that it isn't possible. You can definitely have a high dopamine lunch and come back and carry on working. But the whole point of working 12 hours a day and focusing is a consistency. And the easier it is to be consistent, the more consistent you will be. And one thing that makes it really easy to be inconsistent is overloading your brain with external stimulation, whether that's the news or socializing or going out for lunch or anything during your working day. Like you want to just be in the zone. So for example, for me right now, it's like 7 a.m. making this video and I'll be working until probably 1 p.m. And what I'll do at 1 p.m. is I'll go and I'll cook my lunch. I actually don't cook my lunch myself, but I'll have my lunch and then I'll literally just eat my lunch and then I'll come back down. Like I won't take my laptop up with me. I won't take my phone up with me. It's just me and the steak. And that's it. Just a date with a steak. And there's nothing else. I'm not carrying on working through my lunch. That's a really crucial thing as well. You want to give your brain a little bit of a break. Okay? So no external stimulus until the evening. Once it's the evening, like once the work day is done, like you can go as hard as you want on the external stimulation. Like you can play video games, you can scroll on short form content, whatever the hell. The funny thing though is that you'll find you don't want to, because again you're going to be exhausted. You're just going to want to rest a lot of the time. I wouldn't suggest, by the way, gaming or short form content because, again, it's really hard to work for 12 hours a day and be consistent if your brain knows that is a behavior that is, if that's a behavioral state that is easily accessible just by triggering some impulsive emotions, like that's where your brain's going to go. So you don't want to do that outside of work, but it's up to you. Now, the next thing is light lunch. So this is kind of on the topic of no carbs till the evening. Like, generally speaking, like in order for you to sustain your biological integrity, you need to consume a certain amount of calories, right? And so, as we know in bodybuilding, if you want to bulk, then you eat over your basal metabolic rate in terms of your calories. And if you want to cut, then you eat under your basal metabolic rate in terms of calories. You want to, I want to just see if I've got a note here. Yeah, we've got this. So you want to eat a light lunch. And what this means is probably consuming maybe 25% of your daily calorific intake for lunch. Because often once you get good at the fasting thing, you won't really get hungry anymore, especially if you try and eat less carbs. Because carbs are the thing, what you often find with diet is you don't get hungry, you get cravings. And when you're on carbs and when you're on sugar and when you're on all these things that are bad for you, what your brain will do is it will trigger hunger hormones, but it's not because you're actually hungry, it's because you're addicted to something, if that makes sense. It's kind of like guys that watch porn a lot. Like I used to have this, like I'm porn free. I've been porn free for a long time. I think it's very destructive. But when people watch porn, when they've got a porn addiction, they will get very, very sexually stimulated, i.e. horny all the time. And that's fine. Like if you're a young guy, that's very normal. But the thing is like the impulse to masturbate or to achieve, sexual release tends to be so much more significant above what would be normal or healthy or typical in an adult male that doesn't watch porn. And the reason you're horny all the time is because you're so sexually stimulated by porn. And so like with all of these like addictions, they can make it seem like you need this thing more than you actually do. And the same thing is true with diet and food. And so if you're eating loads of sugar all the time, loads of shit food, loads of like junk food, loads of deliveries, loads of takeaways, loads of pizzas, burgers, like seed oils, all these things, and you like your body will send you hunger hormones, but you're not actually hungry. Your body just wants to experience the dopamine release of eating the junk food. In the same way that sometimes if a guy wants to watch porn, you're not actually horny, you're not actually, wanting to sexually achieve an orgasm, you just want to watch the porn. You just want to see the image, whatever the hell it is people get off to these days. I don't know. God knows. And so have a light lunch, okay? I know it's a bit of a weird roundabout to take that point. Have a light lunch. Like map out how many calories you need to eat in a day to achieve your structural goals, if you want to get bigger or get smaller or maintain, and just try and make sure that you only eat really honestly like a quarter or a third of those calories during lunch. What a lot of people will do, like this is the thing, right? And this is really crucial. Let me explain this. When you fast, you're only really going to eat twice a day. You're going to have your lunch, you're going to have your dinner, because you're skipping breakfast basically. And you really want to avoid having anything more than that, because every time you go for food, then it's taking away from the work, and you will learn, and your body will learn to function with just 2 meal times. You can do it with 1 meal time. It's called 1 meal a day, OMAD. I tried this once. It didn't work that well. It might work for you. OMAD is basically where you don't eat the entire day and you eat at the end of the day, for like in like a 2-hour window. I tried that, but then I found that like 2 hours of my like relaxing time was literally just spent like in front of a bowl of food, which isn't very relaxing for me, right? So you can try it. So light lunch, keep it light. The reason we want to keep it light is by keeping it light and by not eating that many calories in one go, we not only keep ourselves a little bit hungry, i.e. more focused, more willing to hunt, but we reduce our digestive load, which means that your body hasn't got this massive thing to deal with. It's fueled to a degree, and you kind of satiated the desire, and you're not going to be working that hungry, but you're still wanting a little bit more, and that just is it's really conducive to focus. Just try it. The next thing, point number 12, is on the dietary sort of advice spectrum here. If you want to bulk or cut, do it very slowly. Nothing, and I mean nothing, will ruin your productivity like a significant calorie surplus or calorie deficit. So it's very natural for a lot of people who are working hard to be interested in the gym. And it's very natural for people that are interested in the gym to want to achieve, typically expansion. So this archetypal male desire for expansion and growth often manifests in bodily form, right? So we want to get bigger, we want to look bigger and, put on big muscles and stuff. It's fine, it's normal. And with that comes this, this understanding that the only way to really get bigger in the gym is to eat more food. And I'm telling you right now, it is not impossible, but it is severely difficult, like borderline fucking impossible, to work for 12 hours a day and focus for 12 hours a day whilst trying to gain weight quickly, or whilst trying to lose weight quickly. And the reason behind this is because in order to gain weight a lot and quickly, like you gain, I think, 1 kilogram of body weight for every 7,000 calories you eat over your, what would you call it, like maintenance rate. And it's impossible. Like I've done bulks before. I weigh about 80 kilos,
And that's kind of been like my maintenance, where my body wants to be. And I'm still in good shape for my age, and considering the amount of work I do and stuff, like I'm in pretty good nick, right? I'm healthy. I've got like quite a low resting heart rate. I think it's like 51 or something. I exercise a lot, and I take really good care of my body, and I'm probably sat at like 10% body fat, and I'm in pretty good shape. But I've tried to bulk before. I've tried the whole, like I did this, I've tried 5,000 calorie a day bulks. I've tried 6,000 calorie a day bulks consistently. And I just found it, like, trust me, like I've been doing this 12-hour a day thing for a long time. And if I can't do it when bulking, the chances of you being able to do it when bulking are next to none. And the reason is not because I want to get some egotistical one up on you. It's because I've actually got years of experience doing this. And I can tell you that if I try and bulk, my capacity to do this completely falls apart. Same thing with cutting as well. Cutting's a little bit easier because it keeps you in the fasted state, keeps you hungry. But bulking, like eating like, you know, anything more than like a few hundred calories over your maintenance, like, ooh, let's say your maintenance is 3,000 calories and you want to gain some weight. Don't try and eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day. Just eat like 3,250. Just have like an extra couple of teaspoons of olive oil or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this, but a lot of people, like, they don't want to do this because like they put so much weight and so much value on their body image, and that's fine. And you know, it's a very normal, borderline healthy response to wanting to be bigger, wanting to be enough, wanting to be more, you know, wanting to be physically intimidating, all these things. It's fine, but just understand that like you can't have both. And I know that you might be looking at like Alex Hormozi, and you're like, yeah, but Hormozi's like jacked and he eats a lot and like he works really hard. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that it makes it really difficult. And you know, there's a lot of reasons as to why Hormozi is able to achieve that physique. One, he trained in the gym for many, many years before even getting into entrepreneurship, to the best of my knowledge about him, right? So just bear that in mind. If you want to bulk or cut, do it slowly. If you want to be in a surplus or a deficit, do it by a couple of hundred calories. Don't be in a rush, and don't try and suddenly gain or lose weight, because like if you try and do that, your body will just prioritize hunger hormones, diet, sleep. Like you're going to be napping throughout the middle of the day. Like it's really inconducive to productivity. So number 13, if you want to work for 12 hours a day, as we know from point number 2, it helps to have enough to do. But what you need to learn to do is adequately organize your efforts. And you do this through planning tomorrow today. And so at the end of every workday, religiously, you need to plan what you're going to do tomorrow. Because procrastination's best friend is ambiguity. If you sit down at your desk and you don't know what you're actually going to be working on today, you will not do anything. And what you don't like, planning what you're going to do doesn't require much energy, but the first couple of hours in the morning are going to be your most productive, where you've got the most intensive energy, you're most recovered. And what you don't want to be doing is spending the first hour of your day trying to figure out what to do, because that's like prime real estate. Like that's like prime energetic real estate, so to speak. And so like for me this morning, like the first thing that I did was something else in the business, and I'm like, I've got to record this like big video for my YouTube channel. And you know, it's like, here I am. It's a big one. We've got 29 points on how to work 12 hours a day, and it's tough. And so I knew that I was going to make this video. And one thing that's really cool that happens when you plan tomorrow today is if you know what you're going to do tomorrow, when you go to sleep, as you sleep, your unconscious will start making these little plans for tomorrow. And so I woke up this morning, and I'm not even joking, and this is no word of a lie. I had this video idea planned tomorrow, and on my to-do list for this morning was plan the video, like write down the points, get them on my computer as I can see them here. And the second I woke up, like before I even got in the shower, these ideas just started coming to me. And the list just basically manifested on this notes app in like literally 2 minutes. And I was like, oh, that's the benefit of planning tomorrow today, because my brain knew that was what was required of me. As I was sleeping, as I was recovering, my unconscious was working to try and figure this problem out. And so you want to have a to-do list. You want to have a really clear depiction of what you're going to do and the order in which you're going to do it. You want to have a clear idea of exactly what you need and who you need to accomplish those things. And you want to plan tomorrow, today. Plan it down to the hour, down to the 30-minute slot if you can. Just having a to-do list is really helpful, and know what you're working on. And if you know what you're working on tomorrow, then your brain can optimize for it when you're asleep, and it will seem way easier to do it when you wake up. And if you don't know what you're doing, like I said, procrastination's best friend is ambiguity. Like if you really struggle with procrastinating, like the first step to overcoming procrastination is getting really, really clear on exactly what it is that you're actually working on, what you're doing, etc., etc. So number 14 is to avoid nicotine and caffeine. Now, this is a personal preference for me, and a lot of people, including you, might disagree with this premise, and that's absolutely fine. Now, this is a slightly weaker point because I know lots of people that work 12 hours a day who drink caffeine and use nicotine. You know, like those things you put under your mouth, snooze, I think they're called, or like Zins or something, I don't know. And so, like, you know, I personally don't drink coffee and I don't use any nicotine products unless I'm on holiday. Might have like a cigarette or something. It's very rare. And what that does is it means that I don't need anything to be productive. So I can pull off 12-hour days without needing any stimulant. In fact, the only thing that I will consume for the first 8 hours of the day is water and electrolytes, right? And then creatine as well. So the cool thing about this is I'm not like, when you drink coffee, you trigger your adrenal glands because, you know, coffee stimulates a stress response. It creates adrenaline, it creates noradrenaline, you know, norepinephrine, all these things, all these chemicals get released when you drink coffee. And that's fine, like black coffee, like it's not the end of the world. But for me, like, I wanted to get rid of it because I was like, I just don't want to rely on it. I don't like that idea. Because it's funny, because like, you know, if you see someone like who has a caffeine addiction, which is basically everyone, it's like if you need caffeine to work, then you have this crutch, and now it's another thing that you've got to do. And also, like, a lot of people, like, they just overdo it, they overdrink it, especially me. Like, I have an extreme personality, in case you can't tell. And so, like, if I started drinking coffee, like, I would just want it, like, all the time, and it would mess with my sleep. And, you know, like, the human body is perfectly capable of producing the chemical reactions required to curate and create intensive focus for extensive periods of time without external help from stimulants. So I'm not going to tell you to get rid of coffee. I'm not going to tell you to get rid of nicotine. That is entirely up to you. I'm just telling you what has worked for me, and what has worked for me really well, and what has made me really calm and really focused and very steady throughout my day with very few spikes and ups and downs of productivity or emotion, is having no external stimulants and ingesting nothing, with the one exception of water and very, very clean food. And I find that helps me. And, you know, I run these masterminds, right? So I have these events where I'll be talking for 8 or 9 hours, and I'll be public speaking in front of, you know, 50 to 60 to sometimes even 100 paying clients about very complicated, advanced business strategies. And I'll do that for 8 hours straight, 9 hours straight, with no caffeine and no nicotine. And then I see everyone in the room, and they're like half falling asleep and stuff. Like if they're not drinking coffee, and everyone's to and from the coffee machine, everyone's using those like nicotine pouches and stuff. And as soon as you take that away from them, they just can't focus and they can't work. And that's not a like, oh, I'm better than you thing. That's just like a biology thing. Like if you're fasted and you're not relying on stimulants and you just have the habit of being able to focus without those things, like you have a massive advantage over people. It doesn't matter, but it's a minor point, but it's up to you. Number 15. So this I can definitely tell you to avoid. So whether you avoid caffeine or nicotine is up to you. But these things you can definitely avoid. So if you want to work 12 hours a day and focus 12 hours a day, like your focus and your work is an output from your body and your bodily functions, right? And so what you want to do is you want to avoid the following foods. avoid refined sugar, avoid seed oils, avoid dairy, and avoid gluten. Also, get a food intolerance and food allergy test. Get it done, get some blood work done, pay $1,000 to do it if you have to. It might not even be that expensive, like $5. And get a really comprehensive blood panel done on what you're intolerant to and what you're allergic to. Because when you eat, like, pretty much every human on the planet is intolerant to dairy and intolerant to gluten. There's a few exceptions to this, but pretty much everyone. And so you can cut those out pretty comfortably and know you're doing the right thing. And then pretty much every human on the planet receives oxidative stress from seed oils. This is a fact, right? If you eat seed oils, you get oxidative stress, which means you have less energy in your body. And pretty much every human on the planet, if they eat refined sugar, is in deep trouble and liable to emotional spikes, energy spikes, mood swings, etc., etc. Now, it goes without saying that you should avoid alcohol as well, but you can have a pint every now and then. You can have a drink with dinner every now and then. It's not going to kill you, but the big ones: sugar, seed oils, dairy, and gluten. Get those gone, and then get a food intolerance test, a blood test, to find out what you're intolerant to, what you're allergic to, and then cut those foods out as well. The reason we want to remove these things is because when you eat foods that cause oxidative stress or leaky gut, which is like basically when your gut gets all inflamed, you receive brain fog. And working through brain fog and focusing through brain fog is very, very difficult. So let me tell you something. Imagine a state of constant clarity where you can think clearly, you can make decisions quickly, you can communicate without slurring your words, and you don't need to sedate yourself. You imagine just being hyper clear all the time. That's what I am. And that's what you can be if you remove all dietary stimulation. And I'm talking like sugar, seed oils, fat, like all these, like these, are they called saturated or unsaturated fats? I don't know. But just like shit food. You know what I'm talking about? Any processed food. If you're wondering what I eat meat. Then sometimes I'll eat like fruits as well. I was hardcore carnivore for like 2 years, and I was in ketosis for 2 years, and I eventually started getting like really tired all the time. So I started reintroducing fruit. So like yesterday, for example, I ate 3 ribeye steaks, a couple of eggs, some avocado, and some watermelon, and some blueberries, and that was it. And those foods are very low. They're called low inflammation foods. And low inflammation foods basically help you focus, because foods that cause inflammation, they stop you from focusing because they cause brain fog. So when you're feeling foggy in the brain, you sort of feel like there's this weird like layer of fog, and you feel tired and lethargic and just foggy. That's inflammation in your body. And that's why, like, when you're sick and when you're really unwell, you get brain fog. Because when you're really unwell or really sick, or you've got the flu, your body will inflame. So like, say for example, you cut your leg, and what your body will do to avoid you from getting an infection is inflame that area. Okay, so it'll inflame it, and it will increase blood flow to it for nutrients and whatever the hell it needs. I don't know how it works, but it will inflame. And if you've got lots of that inflammation internally in your body or externally, you will feel brain fog. It's just impossible not to, especially inflammation of the gut, because the gut is connected directly to the brain. So basically just avoid those things. And if you avoid those things, it's going to make your focus and your productivity way better. There is a reason as to why I am able to sit here and talk to this camera straight and maintain cohesive thought and to be articulate for an hour or two. It's because I have very low inflammation, I'm very focused. Okay. So number 16 is invest in a decent, comfortable setup. So what you want to do with your work is you want to have an office, and it doesn't have to be an office necessarily, but you want to have a comfortable place where you can work with tools that you like, with things that feel aesthetically pleasing to you, and a chair and a desk and an environment that just makes you feel comfortable. Because there's nothing that is going to make you
like not want to work, quite like being uncomfortable. So a lot of people, like professional entrepreneurs especially, like they will work like really hard, and like I see like, for example, like sales reps, like, you know, and other sort of professionals, like these law firms, right? Like you have these like law firms or these corporate firms where their employees are working like 12 hours a day, but they're putting them in these tiny little like chairs, like these really little horrible plastic chairs. And then like they have to wear suits to work and spend thousands of dollars on suits, but then they're working off of some like shitty HP laptop that takes ages to run and has to be like plugged in. Or, you know, they're using headphones to do calls, but they've got these horrible little plastic, like plastic customer support headphone, like over ear, like headphones or something. It's like, you want to invest in good equipment and you want to invest in the best stuff possible. And so like my desk setup and everything probably costs like 10 grand. You don't have to go that far, right? But you need to try and go as far as you can within reason. The main thing is the chair, and also having a monitor. Like, you can't see it because of the camera, but I have a monitor. Do not work off your laptop. Like, don't be like hunched over. Your neck's gonna hurt, your back's gonna hurt, your hands are gonna hurt. It's possible. Like, one of my friends, Ed, he lives in Dubai. Like, he built a 500k a month info business literally just off of his laptop. And like that dude, like he makes a lot of YouTube videos and he edits on his laptop. He does meetings on his laptop, and you know, he lives in Airbnbs. So like he doesn't have like a home. He's like this weird little hermit, and he won't mind me saying that because we're actually quite good mates. Love you, Ed. And he will literally just like sit on, like, you know, those kitchen stools like that you sit on like on an island. He'll sit on one of those and pull off like a 10-hour workday. But then he always complains about how bad his back is, and you know, so you can still do it. It's just, it's a lot easier to be productive when you're comfortable in the environment in which that you're comfortable, right? This is why, like, you know, I've got a myriad of headphones. I've got like wired headphones, so I want to use wired headphones. I've got over-ear headphones if I want to use over-ear headphones. I've also got a speaker if I want to use a speaker. So I can, like, you know, receive sound inputs however I want. It's just little things like that that, you know, you need to just find your comfort, etc., etc. So number 17 is kind of related to that last point. If you want to work for 12 hours a day and you want to focus specifically for 12 hours a day, try to avoid working in your bedroom. Now, for a lot of people, this is impossible. Because if you're still living with your parents and you're trying to build your first business, then you haven't really got much of a choice. I worked in my bedroom for the first year of my life. Not my life, it'd be a bit weird. Grinding from the womb, mate. No, I worked from my bedroom for the first year in business of my entrepreneurial life, because I was living at home, working from home with my parents. And so I had to work, you know, I'd work in my car, I'd work in my bedroom, and I'd work at my other job. And you know, there's some times where you just can't do that. But if you live alone or you've got an apartment, do not work in your bedroom. Do not work in your bedroom, because your bedroom needs to become this sort of holy place of relaxation, right? And it's the holy place that you sleep. It's like sacrilege to work in there, because you want your brain to associate different modes of behavior and, you know, frequency, neurological frequency, with different environments. I know that might sound a bit hippie-ish, but when I used to sleep in my room that I worked in, like, you can't really sleep properly because your desk's there. Your body can kind of feel the presence of the work, if that makes sense. It sounds a bit weird. If you live alone, sacrifice your living room, right? So instead of, like, if let's say that you've got a one-bedroom apartment, right? You've got a one-bedroom apartment, and you've got a bedroom, and you've got a living room and like a kitchen, and then you've got a bathroom. Sacrifice the living room. So have that as an office, because you can live in your bedroom. You can watch TV in your bedroom. You can whatever the hell, right? But just try, if you can, if you have the option, do not work in your bedroom. Again, this is optimal. This is for optimization, for efficiency, for effectiveness. I still got to 10K a month, 50K a month even, in my parents' house, in my bedroom. You can do it, but once you have the option not to, it's really healthy, and it's way more conducive to longevity of productivity if you decide to work in a room that is separate to the one in which you sleep. So point number 18 to working for 12 hours a day is getting rid of your phone and having your phone off out of your office. And more importantly, not checking that thing until the evening. Now, this can be difficult because obviously you might have loved ones, you might have a girlfriend, you might have relationships to maintain. But what I will do with my day is I will not check my phone either until lunchtime or until the evening. Now, the cool thing about this is the only thing I have on my phone is WhatsApp. So I have no apps on my phone except from Calendar, Google Chrome, WhatsApp, and then an app that manages the LED lights in my flat. And I don't have any social media apps on my phone. I don't have Twitter, I don't have Snapchat, I don't have Facebook, I don't have YouTube, I don't have anything. And that's pretty helpful. But a lot of people struggle with getting rid of like apps on their phone. I would encourage you to do it. But more importantly, like just turn your phone off and do not have it in your office and do not check it first thing in the morning. So what you want to avoid doing is like having your phone in the place in which you work. And, you know, if you've got like responsibilities, like, you know, with family and stuff, like just tell them like, hey, I want to be working from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. And if you message me during that time, I'm probably not going to reply. That's fine. You can set up email responders to say that as well. But just let everyone know if someone needs you, it's like, hey, like he'll be available at 6 p.m. And then what you do is the people that might really need you. So like if there's an emergency, then my family or my very close people in my life can message me on Slack. So I say to people like, okay, I'll get you in my company Slack channel. Like if you need me, message me there, but only if you need me for something really important. Like I'm talking life or death, like mission critical. Like if it's like, oh, like what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? It's like, don't you dare message me about that on Slack. And I'll be ruthless with this. And there's been instances where like a family member has messaged me on Slack because they've really needed something and they've needed me to handle it very urgently. And so you can still make yourself available to people, but just very few of them. And with a specific communication mechanism that only those few people have access to. Again, this seems borderline sociopathic and weird and psychopathic, but working 12 hours a day and focusing 12 hours a day and the results that you're able to accomplish as a result of doing that are not normal. And people will look at your life and all these things that you've got and want to have them, but when you tell them they have to start sacrificing things like this, they just won't do it. And I don't get it, but that's up to them. So have your phone off, out of office, do not check it, and remove everything from it. Like, in fact, I'll go and get my phone. Okay, so here we go. So, okay. So I've just turned my phone on. So here's my phone. You can't really see it, to be honest, but that's literally it. And so, you know, my phone is always on airplane mode, and if it's not on airplane mode, it's off. So I'm just going to turn this off. And you kind of have 3 lines of defense when it comes to, there's 4 lines of defense when it comes to not being distracted by your phone. The first line of defense is remove everything from your phone and just keep like a messaging app. The second line of defense is put your phone on airplane mode. The third line of defense is turn your phone off. And the fourth line of defense is to remove your phone from the room in which you are working. And if you do those 4 things, your phone will never distract you, okay? And so I've got this damn thing here, so I'm just going to put it over there just to keep the video going. So do those things. Get rid of everything, airplane mode, off, out of the room, and then just don't check it until midday. I've probably got like, you know, like a bunch of messages on there from my personal life, but they'll be sat there. And this brings me on to point number 19, which is do not check messages or social media first thing. So this is kind of what I was saying earlier about like keeping yourself locked into the zone. Here's what happens. If you check your messages in the morning, if you check the news in the morning, or if you check social media in the morning, your brain will start to open up narratives and loops. And what this basically means is, let's say that you receive a message from someone. Let's say that I open my phone right now and I've got like 6, 7 messages. And all those messages are going to require my energy and my attention to reply to. and they're going to encourage people to reply to me. If I know they exist, then my brain is going to dedicate some amount of processing power to replying to those messages, especially if I like those people and they matter to me. In the same way that, let's say I check the news this morning and there's some breaking news story and there's some like, new terrorist attack or something. Now I've opened another loop. I have to know what happens next. It's like, if I open up social media and I find out some social media drama, now I've opened up another loop to find out, like like things happen over time, right? And so like if you're hooked in by like a piece of content and it's narrative based content, i.e. like, oh, this person said this to this person online, and let's see what happens when they release the Epstein files. And it's like you become invested in these like narratives, and your brain will naturally dedicate very, very crucial processing power unconsciously to those things. And so when I start work, I like to never open my messages. And the other thing that I will do, and this is very abnormal for an entrepreneur, is I reply to my messages always. Like to me, messaging is like having a hot potato. If someone sent me a message, then I reply to it immediately. But here's the crucial thing, is I will never talk to people to just talk to them. Like if I want to talk to someone properly, like my mother or my father or my brother or my sister or a friend, I will just call them. What I will not do is converse back and forward with people randomly about random things, because it's impossible to do that and work properly and intensely at the same time. And so this happens as well. Like if I'm in a relationship and my girlfriend knows me very well, and she knows better than to try and engage in conversation over text, because she's just going to receive very sort of direct work-based blunt replies. And we've talked about this, and I've communicated why this happens and stuff. And so she understands now, if you're in a relationship, just communicate these things. And that means that if I want to talk to my girlfriend, or if she wants to hang out with me, we do it when I finish working. And you don't want to be like every 2 minutes, like, oh, what did he say about that? Wait, put it back. And then it's like you carry on working, and the notification, oh, what did he say? And that's what you do. And it's just like, how are you supposed to work when every minute you're just picking this up and just switching away from the task? And it's just like, stop it. Stop having conversations with people aimlessly about random shit. It's obviously unavoidable. Like if my dad texts me and he's like, hey son, like just need your help, like because I need you to witness sign something for this lawyer for me for the house. It's like, okay, well, let me help you with that. And then there's going to be some back and forth for a bit. Fine, whatever. I'm talking about people that just randomly talk on their phones, like, and randomly message people. Especially, this happens to a lot of guys who are like dating. Like if you're dating and you feel compelled to like message girls, like you're doing the wrong thing. Like for me, when I was dating, this is how I found my girlfriend, is I would meet someone, whether it was like online or in person. I would text them and get their number instantly, like, give me your number. And if they didn't give me if they didn't give me the number, then I didn't bother, because I'm not going to just mesh them back and forth on some app. And as soon as I got their number, I would call them that evening, have a call with them, and set up a date on the call, and then I wouldn't talk to them until the date. And that's just like, it's not normal, but the problem about being a young guy, if you're into girls, which almost all of us are, unless that's not your thing, which is fine, is like the amount of time it takes to like text girls and invest in these like relationships that might not go anywhere is so crazy. Like just get the number, set the date, and then see them on the date and talk to them then. And then you actually have some interesting things to talk about. And also you're kind of a little bit more elusive, because you're not this weird obsessed person that just wants their attention all the time. Like stop texting people, stop having these back and forth conversations. If you want to be seeing someone, set a date at which you will see them, or at which you will call them and see them or call them then, and try to avoid having these back and forth conversations in between. It's like, it's weird, but it works. Again, like, what did you expect? Like, you want to work 12 hours a day and focus 12 hours a day? Did you think that there weren't going to be weird sacrifices to do something that's objectively quite an odd thing to want to do? You know, this is the consequence that you've kind of got to accept. Like, you can't just be going back and forth with people all the time, because conversations are open loops, you know, and texting is an open loop, and the news is an open loop, and social media is an open loop. And if you open those loops at the start of the day, your brain will seek to close them, and you will be naturally drawn, and your attention will just gravitate towards this piece of glass that helps you close that loop, which is your phone. Number 20, do one thing at a time, because nothing drains you more than switching. So there's two categories of task that drain your energy, drain your willpower, drain your focus, drain your discipline, and that we would consider work. The first is actually doing something. It's like, for example, me making this YouTube video. The second thing is switching to another task. So switching from task to task takes just as much energy as doing a task itself. Think of this like your brain has like a gearbox. So you know, if you're driving like a manual car, or Americans would call it stick, like if you're driving stick or you're driving manual, you change gears to, you know, change the speed at which you're going. Imagine that your brain has a gearbox. And so if you want to, changing gears is like changing tasks. So you go from first to second to third to fourth to fifth to sixth, whatever, to reverse. And throughout the day, your gearbox can only take so many shifts. Now, a car gearbox, you can shift tens of thousands of times before that gearbox will start to falter, right? But in an automatic car, you don't have to worry about it. But in work, in your brain, you can't make that many shifts of tasks. Like, you can't shift the gears that often without your gearbox kind of like breaking down, needing to recover. And so this is why what you want to do throughout your day is avoid switching. And this is why I'm a massive advocate of not having your phone in your room or having no distractions in your office. Because like, if you're in the middle of something and you have to go and switch to another task and come out of that zone and then come back into it, it's exhausting. This is why I will not work with my Slack open. I will not work with my emails open. I will not work with school open. I won't work with any work-related messaging app open unless I need it. Think about it. The only reason you have those messaging apps is to give and receive information to complete tasks. Building a business is about completing tasks. And sometimes you need information from people, or to give information to people for that task to be completed. That is the purpose of a work-based messaging app, whether that's email, whether that is Slack, or whatever it is that you use. And so what you don't want to be doing is just sat inside of your, work messaging platform with it open, unless your work requires that, right? But most of the time it won't. And like, what a lot of people will do is they'll have like a task, and then they'll finish the task, but they'll leave it open. And they'll leave all the tabs associated with that task open. They'll leave all the windows open. They'll leave the notes from their desk about it and everything. And then they'll go on to the next thing. But then they'll come back to that task and finish it a little bit again. And it's like, you want to do one thing at a time. And if you're wondering how to produce anything good or anything great, it comes from single-minded focus. And it's very easy, well, it's not very easy, it's significantly easier to work and focus for 12 hours when you're not jumping between tasks. Because every time you switch that gear, you take a big chunk of energy out of your brain. And this is also why we can't multitask as well. Like, do not have multiple tabs open. Like, you can have, it depends on what you're doing, right? So for example, this video, like, I've come into my office, sat down, I'm recording. All I've got on my screen right now is my recording software and the notes that I need to record from, and that's it. And as soon as I've finished with this, I will take the video, I will format the video into a spreadsheet, title it, get the thumbnail idea, and send it over to my editor. Done. And then that task is now complete. It's wrapped off. I don't have to. It's completely done. There's nothing else to do about it. It's done. And then I will move on to the next task I have today, which is recording something else for something else. And then I will finish that. And then I'll move on to the next thing. And you want to become ruthless at just doing one thing at a time and doing everything to completion. And this is also why, with my messaging philosophy, I will never go to bed with unread messages, because I want things to be done. I want things to be completed. It's also why if I'm watching a movie, I have to finish the movie. If I'm reading a book, I will not start another book until I finish that book. This is a habit.
It's the habit of finishing things. It's the universal behavioral mechanism that should govern your entire life. Finish things. If you're listening to a song in the car, finish the song. If you're listening to a podcast episode, do not start another podcast episode until you finish that one. If you're watching a TV series, do not watch another TV series until you finish all the seasons and all the episodes in that TV series. Become obsessed with finishing things and completing things and shipping things before you move on to something else. And what this does is it allows you to just produce work that is insane. So if you go to this link, school.com/academy, this is my free course that explains how to start a business from scratch and get to financial freedom with that business. Go and watch those videos. And those videos are the product of single-minded focus and doing one thing at a time. The content in this program is fucking insane. Like, I've got 3-4 hour long videos on how to build a business. Just go and watch the content and you'll know what I mean. You'll see in live time the product of this sort of philosophy of focus. And it's way better than anything anyone else can make outside of that realm, if that makes sense. There's plenty of people out there that could do a better job than me, but I get so much advantage from just single-minded focus, if that makes sense. So number 21 is you want to have low maintenance relationships and friendships. And so this one kind of hits close to home because we've talked a lot about the whole like small social circle and the social dynamics and the messaging stuff and all this good stuff. But another thing that's really important is you want to make sure that you have a low maintenance partner. Now, if you're a man and you're straight and you're into women, women are obviously and can be very emotional creatures. We don't understand them. They don't understand us. It's always been that way and always will be that way. But there are women that tend to be more high maintenance than others, right? In terms of how like intensive their emotions are, how much attention they require from you to feel adequately supported in the relationship. And what I can tell you is that some relationships are not conducive to entrepreneurial success. Now, again, this is not a blanket rule. Look at Elon Musk's wives, like the people that he's been with. Like, there's lots of very successful entrepreneurs that have had very chaotic personal relationships. But what I can tell you again, if we're being as optimal as we possibly can, you want to pick a partner, if you can, you want to pick a partner that just will let you work. So like my girlfriend is great because she's obviously a woman, so she feels things, she's emotional, like she has like needs that all girls have and stuff. But one thing that she understands, and she gets this really well, is she will let me work, like with completely uninterrupted. And like if she's here at the flat, she'll make sure that all my food's cooked so that I can be more productive. She'll make sure that like she's coming to bed at like 9:30 p.m. so she knows I can get up at like 6 a.m. to work really hard. Like she makes it as easy as possible for me to do this 12-hour-a-day thing as consistently as I possibly can. Like, you know, like she won't complain about me working too much. She won't demand my attention during working hours. Like she won't disturb me. She has her own life. She has her own hobbies, her own interests. And that's amazing. And you want to try your best. And I had the luxury of knowing this, finding a relationship. So I was already successful. I already had this habit of insane productivity. So when I went to find a partner, I could filter people through that lens. And so the first thing that I said to my girlfriend, and this is no word of a lie, on our first phone call, because again, I don't talk. It was I met her, phone number, phone call, date, and then that was basically it. She basically moved in. Like on the first phone call, I said to her, within the first 10 minutes, I said, work will always come before you. How do you feel about that? And she was like, you do what you got to do. I'm fine. Like she got it. And I was like, it's very rare to find that. Now, a lot of women will tell you that that's fine. And they'll say, yeah, no worries. Like you go and do that. But 3 months down the line, it will become very apparent that that's not what they actually want, to them and to you. It's not that they're lying to you. It's just that they didn't realize that that was going to be a problem. And so try your best to find a partner that is low maintenance in terms of how much drama they create, how quickly they can emotionally stabilize. So this is a big one because a lot of women can be very, very neurotic for very long periods of time. So like my girlfriend, for example, like if she has like a emotional
episode, which all women do, she can bounce back from that very quickly. And so like she won't sit in like really negative emotional states about one thing for a very long time. And this is called emotional stability. It's how quickly can you re-stabilize and re-baseline based on your experiences. So with adequate support, with adequate understanding and all these things, she can find that baseline again pretty fast. And what that means is like she's not constantly like depressed or miserable, right? And so you want to find a low maintenance person. Because what you don't want in your life is for you to finish work and then to have more work to do outside of work. Like you need your personal life to be as streamlined and just relaxing and calm as possible. And the one thing that will make that possible is who you hang around. Like, are you hanging around people that create drama? Are you hanging around people that get annoyed because you've been working all the time? Are you hanging around people that don't understand the nature of entrepreneurship and just want you to just be there for them all the time? If so, you can have either. It's just really difficult to have both. You can have both, but again, this isn't about binary rules. It's just about finding optimal ways to achieve consistency as often as possible. And having a loving partner that doesn't mind, if anything, it encourages you. Like, this is the thing, when you can find a girl that will say like, I want you to work really hard, like that's a winner. Like when you find a girl that like, if you're lazy and if you're like slacking off and lazing around for like months on end, she's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, that's what you want. You want a girl that's like that, okay? And it will make you way more productive. So number 22 is avoid drama outside of work at all costs. So socially, in the news, etc. So look, the second that drama of any nature enters your sensory awareness, you want to shut down. And what that means is if you walk past like the news and it's talking about some war, turn it off. If you're talking to like a friend and they start bitching about someone behind their back, shut them down. Like, you want like drama. The thing is with drama is it's very, very attentively seductive, which means it can really consume our attention because we love drama. There's a reason why there's an entire like genre of movie and series dedicated to this one thing, which is just drama. And funnily enough, work is dramatic. Building a business is dramatic. And so when you like, everyone has a need for drama, right? So this is what we observe with a lot of people who have boring lives, right? A lot of people have boring lives, and what they will do with their spare time is they will watch drama, right? So they'll watch these TV shows that are really dramatic, or they'll watch like all these different shows or all these different movies that create drama for them, or they'll become obsessed with social media like narratives, or they'll watch the news a lot because these things are very dramatic. When you're working really hard, when you're working 12 hours a day and you're building a business, that is fucking dramatic. Like, it is. There's all these things that happen. There's these characters you've got to deal with. There's these emotions you've got to manage. You feel a lot. Like, it's very dramatic building a business. And so what will naturally happen when you're working 12 hours a day, focusing 12 hours a day, is you won't, like, outside of work, you won't want drama, and you just won't have any time or tolerance for it. Like, I had this a while ago. Like, one of these friends I used to have was messaging me, and she was like bitching about this other girl that I used to know. And I just said, I point blank said to her, I said, insert her name here. I said, look, as much as I love you and value our friendship, I really do not care about this. I just said it point blank. Now, she knows me relatively well, and she was like, actually, yeah, fair enough. You don't really need to know this, and I don't really know I'm bitching about it anyway. Like, you know, that she wouldn't stop, and I was just like, look, I just don't care. Like, please stop telling me about this, because it doesn't add any value to our friendship, and it doesn't add any value to my friendship with the other person. All it does is just create a social divide, and it makes me want to engage. And now I'm talking about it on my bloody YouTube channel. So it's like, drama is like, it like duplicates, it multiplies. Building a business is dramatic enough. You don't need any more drama. Cut it out. Don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in 10 years. Like, I used to watch the news when I was like a teenager, and I'd worry about it and shit. Now I don't watch the news. And then people will say like, oh, you're not worried about this? I'm like, no, I didn't even know it existed. And like, you know, the news is just negative. The news turns you into a neurotic person. Like, if you watch the news regularly, you're going to become more neurotic. You're going to become more anxious. You're going to become more depressed. And those things are going to seep into your ability to work. And it's just not good. Number 23, music.
So there are two types of music that you can listen to when you're working. You have low stimulation music and high stimulation music. Low stimulation music, and again, this is like, this sounds like almost a little bit ridiculous, because it's like, what, down to the music I listen to? Should I really care about that? Like, you can still work 12 hours a day listening to like high stimulation music, but what you want to try and do is you want to find elongated sound bites that are conducive to focus and that you can associate with focus. And so I have a whole playlist on YouTube dedicated to ambient music that I will listen to when I work. A really good one that only has like 20,000 views is called ambient, it's called like Meditate in Skyrim ambient music slowed. It's like 45 minutes. There's this like mix, and I listen to that all the time to work. And whenever I listen to that mix, I can get into the zone like that because I've listened to it like thousands of times, literally thousands of times, whilst in a state of very deep work. There's another one that's really good called Veiled Monolith. So VEILED-MONOLIF. Veiled Monolith by Obsidian Soundfields. They've got lots of really good ambient music. And there's another really good one called Roman Ambience by ACEPTE. Anyway, like, what you want to do is try and find these ambient mixes, these sort of slow pace, very consistent BPM, very consistent tones that don't shift up and down, that help you drown out external noise and lock you in. I've got lots of these mixes, lots of different ambient mixes. There's another really good one called Celestial Choirs, Library Ambience. like I know it sounds a bit weird, but like, I've been listening to these ambient mixes for years at work. Like binaural beats as well, like isochronic tones. Get yourself like 30, 40 of these mixes, and when you sit down to work, just shuffle them. They should be like an hour long each, like 45 minutes to an hour long, and just listen to them when you work. Try and avoid like high stimulation music. High stimulation music is like rap. It's like drum and bass. It's like house music. It's like EDM or techno. Like, you can put that on towards the end of the day if you need like a little bit of an extra sort of like stimulation boost just to keep you going. But the thing that I like about these ambient mixes is you don't have to like shift them or change them. So a lot of people, if they're listening to like songs, what they will do is they'll go in and they'll change the song. They're like, I don't like this song. And then you're switching again. And now you're on these platforms and it's not good. But those ambient mixes on YouTube are great. And by the way, little productivity hack, download a Chrome extension called Undistracted, and then you can turn off all of your YouTube recommendations. So my YouTube, for example, I have no recommendations and my comments are turned off. I have no up next suggestions. I have no sidebar. Like, I can't see anything on there except from just these mixes that I'm subscribed to, or these playlists, right? Pretty cool. Undistracted, it's called. Number 24, avoid travel at all costs. So let me tell you something interesting. Like, I have never been to America, which is hilarious because like 60% of my clients are in America. I've never been to Asia, with the one exception of Thailand. No, what the hell am I talking about? It's been a long video. Dubai, right? I think Dubai is in Asia. Like, I've literally only ever traveled in Europe and to Dubai. Dubai is as far as I've gone. And that's by design. Like, I've had the option to go to LA. I've been invited to LA. I've been invited on loads of podcasts. I've been invited to loads of parties. Someone invited me to this party in Beverly Hills a couple of months back. I won't tell you who it was because it's not really necessary. But I got invited to this party in LA, like this big like influencer party, and I was like, nah, I'm all right. I've been invited to Australian cities. I've been invited to Bali. I've been invited to Thailand. Like all these places, and that's not me telling you like, oh, I've got all these invites, look at how amazing. That's not the point. The point I'm making is the only places I really travel are Europe. Now I'm going to America for the first time in December. I'm going to New York City, which will be really fun for work, and that's a mastermind trip, so I have to. But basically, for the last 10 years, I've had the financial resources to travel, and I've had the means to do it, but I haven't. And the reason is just because I've been locked in. Like, when you're on this 12-hour a day, like, work focus grind, you don't want to travel. Like, you just need to avoid traveling at all costs. Now, if you're going to like a business event
or if you're going to like a mastermind or somewhere that is actually going to help you grow your business, then it's necessary. But if I'm like going on holiday or something, I'll either go on holiday somewhere in the UK or somewhere that I can fly to in like 3 hours. One of the main reasons for this is the time difference. So nothing will throw your productivity out of whack quite like a 5-hour time difference or a 3-hour time difference or like an 8-hour time difference. And, you know, also the administration of traveling, like you're going to lose like 2-3 days at least. Like it costs a lot of money to lose those days. Like people look at traveling, and if you're a business owner, the cost of traveling is not how much your flight is or how much your Airbnb is. It's how much time you lose. Like let's say that I value my time at, I don't know, like $5,000 an hour, right? Let's say that I value my time at $5,000 an hour, which is probably quite accurate. Like if someone asked me for like an hour of my time, I'd be like, yeah, 5K. So, okay, I value my time at $5,000 an hour, which means that if I'm working like 12 hours a day, then that's like 60K a day in hourly potential. Might be a little bit inflated, but let's just say that's the example. If I'm having to fly for 12 hours, the flight might cost me, if I'm first class, business class, might cost me like 4K, 5K. So the cost of the flight is $4,000 or $5,000. But the cost of my time on that flight, because the Wi-Fi is definitely not going to work, because it never does, and it's going to be really loud, really noisy, and it's going to be annoying. The cost of that time is like $60,000. And so people don't understand this. Like your time, if you're an entrepreneur and you're successful, your time costs more than anything else. Like you cannot get it back. And so like, you know, I've got to go to the airport because I can't afford a jet yet. It's my own fault. You got to go to the airport. So you've got to get up and travel to the airport. Then you've got to go and sit in the lounge or in the lobby, whatever it is. You've got to board the flight. Then you've got to fly. Then you've got to get off and go through security and get your luggage and get a taxi and get to the Airbnb and go and sort all the food situation and then try and get to sleep and not be able to sleep because of jet lag. And then like get up early, not be able to work, and then be distracted by all these weird things in the flat. Like you're going to miss like a day. And like 24 hours for someone whose time is worth 5K is like $120,000. Think about it. Like it costs a lot of money to do these things, not in actual financial expenditure, but in time expenditure, which is way more valuable, you know? So you've got to become ruthless with your time, and your time might not be worth $5,000 an hour. It might not be worth $1,000 an hour. Your time might be worth $100 an hour, but that's still significant, and that still needs to be considered. And there is nothing quite like travel to drain your time, drain your productivity. And on top of it, like if you can avoid it, you should. Sometimes it won't be avoidable. And sometimes you've got to do it. But like the cost of that time zone difference thing as well, like messing with your sleeping pattern. Now you've got to find the shops to find the food you want to eat. And now you've got now you've got to like learn like this new car this hire car that you're driving. It's just this chaos. Like avoid it. Try and travel as close to home as you can. Again, it's extreme. Number 25 is understand that working for 12 hours a day and focusing for 12 hours a day is a habit. And it's a habit that you're going to build one day at a time. Severe work ethics, like acute work ethics like these, are built over years of consistency. They're not built overnight. If you try and start working 12 hours a day now, you're going to burn yourself out. And you know, the only way to really work 12 hours a day and get to that point where you are that person that has this insane productivity threshold, this insane stress threshold, this insane output threshold, like the only way you're going to get there is by pushing through and burning yourself out and getting really tired. And, you know, it's going to take a couple of years of trying and doing this consistently before you can pull off 12-hour days without feeling completely exhausted. Like, it's all about mental horsepower. Like, in the same way that an athlete can train all day and recover quickly, it's the same thing with an entrepreneur. Like, you become a mental athlete, and how quickly you can return to baseline, how quickly you can recover, depends on how much practice you have doing it. So, like, let's take, like, you know, and let's take a professional boxer. A professional boxer can train for like 6 hours a day, really intensively, like really put their body through the ringer. And, you know, they can train real hard. They can train really hard and crack on with their boxing. If you train for 6 hours in one day, you'd probably be wiped out for like a week. And the only difference between you and the boxer is that the boxer has been conditioned. They literally call it conditioning. It's practicing staying in that state of stress for long enough for your body to adapt and adjust and build recovery mechanisms to deal with it adequately, safely, and healthily. And the same thing is true with work. There's not much difference between mental athleticism and physical athleticism. Obviously, there is a bit of a difference because one manifests in business results and intellectual results, and the other manifests in physical achievement and body image, right? But they're two of the same thing. And don't expect yourself to be able to work for 12 hours a day if you haven't done it that often before. Expect yourself to try, and you should try, but in the same way that if I asked you, do you think you could train like a professional athlete every day for the next month? You'd be like, no, I need to like work my way up and condition my body to do that. You need to condition your mind in the same way. And let me tell you, it's worth doing. Like once you've been doing this for a couple of years, like you can pull off 12-hour days, like in the same way that like a normal civilian can just work like 6 hours a day. Funny thing about people who work 9 to 5s is like they have an hour for lunch, so they only work 6 hours. And we both know that the afternoon of that work is going to be nothing. And they have like coffee breaks every 10 minutes. So it's like most people actually only really work or focus for like 3 hours a day. If honestly, probably like an hour a day, if that. The rest of it is spent emailing, talking to co-workers, changing songs, getting coffee, getting water. Like most people don't actually focus for more than an hour or two a day. It's very rare. And so going from that normal average amount of focus to like 10xing that is the same notion of training like Mr. Olympia in the gym. Like you're going to fry your nervous system. You're not going to recover from it. Like you need to work your way up to it. The easiest way I found is to try and throw yourself in at deep end. Just try, and just follow this list. Like it's funny because if I was talking about like being an athlete or trying to become like a number one sports person, everything on this list would be justified. Like, you know, small social circle, like say no to everything, like sleep for as long as you want, but sleep early, like avoid these crazy routines, like no carbs, like light lunch, like avoid nicotine and caffeine, avoid sugar, like invest in like comfortable setups, like, you know, don't work out in your bedroom, like don't go on your phone all the time. Like all these things, like they make sense in the context of athletic achievement, which is no different from business achievement. You know, it's weird, but anyway, it's a habit, one day at a time. It's conditioning. It's going to take some time. Point number 26, have a super strict work cutoff. You want to be binary with your time, and you're not always going to be able to achieve this, but you want to try and achieve this as much as you can. If you're not working, you're relaxing. And if you're not relaxing, you're working. And so it's absolutely crucial to your work that when you're not working, you're not working. So what this means is as soon as I finish my work day, which might be at like 7 p.m. if I've started at 6 a.m., I am done. Now, unless there is a mission critical major issue in the company, like my payment processor is failing or someone's trying to sue me, which has never happened, thank God, then I'm off, because there's not much that can't wait till tomorrow if I've already done a full day of work. The second I'm done with work, I'm done with work. Not because I want to be done. Trust me, I would love to keep working most of the time. I don't have a problem with not doing the work. I have a problem with doing too much of it. But because I understand that like my brain needs to switch into relax mode to properly sleep. So I work from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever. And then I'm going to bed at like 9:30, 10 p.m. So I've only got like 3 hours here to really wind myself down. The first hour, I'm eating, then I'm like checking my phone, or I'll be on like watching a movie or something, whatever. And then I'm like, you know, it takes me like an hour to sort of decompress from that work mode and sort of bring my stress levels down, bring the adrenaline levels down, bring the cortisol down, let that melatonin start to creep up. Like I'll put my feet up, I'll be relaxing, I'll be like chatting with friends or whatever. Like it takes like an hour to get to that zone. If every 10 minutes I'm checking Slack or checking email, I'm not really entering relaxing, but I'm also not really working. I'm kind of trying to do both at the same time. This comes back to having this binary cutoff. Like when you're not, like imagine being an athlete, like imagine you're like doing a recovery session and you're like stretching and you're also like doing ice baths, but also you're doing random little interval sprints in the meantime. Like No, you either work or you recover. You work or you recover. It's crucial that you have a binary cutoff when you're finished working and you just cut, done, okay? Because if you don't, like, you're not gonna relax. Like, the worst thing is when, like, it's an hour before bed and you're still like checking messages on your phone and you're still like working and you're still like doing this. This point brings me on to point number 27, which is do not have Slack, email, WhatsApp Business, or any other work apps on your phone. Because, you know, you're going to be using that phone when you're relaxing. You're going to be talking to people, you're going to be hanging out, whatever the hell you do on that thing, right? And you do not want to have anything work related on there. I've built a $10 million a year business with no work apps on my phone, with the one exception of Google Calendar to see what I've got coming up in the future. That's it. No work apps. And I will build a $1 billion company using the same philosophy. And you can watch me do it by watching these videos. So you don't want any of those things on your phone because they pull you out. Like, relaxation, recovery, rest is a state. And to be in that state, you need to be in it for a bit of a prolonged period of time, like a couple of hours, right? And like, you don't want to be like just checking some random work thing like right before you go to bed, because it pulls you out of the relaxed state. Now you're back in work mode, and now you're going to try and sleep. You're going to be running this like thing. The whole objective of relaxation is to prepare you for proper sleep. So you wind down, but the real recovery from the day of mental athleticism happens in sleep. And your sleep is going to be light. It's going to be interrupted if you've spiked your cortisol, if you've spiked your hormones, and, you know, not your hormones, but like your work hormones. Like, if you're checking your phone and like trying to like solve problems right before bed, now you're going to take that into sleep and you're not going to sleep well. Your mind's going to be racing. You're going to wake up thinking of work, and it's just like in the night when you're waking up thinking of work, and it's just going to be shit. You're not going to get enough REM sleep. You're not going to get enough deep sleep. So the evening that you're relaxing is to wind you down and slow you down and make you calm. So when you sleep, you fall asleep really quick and you sleep really deep and really well for like 7, 8, 9 hours. And then you can go again. Okay? So number 28, second to last one. There are going to be days every now and then where it's just not possible. Understand this and take them off. So as you're developing this muscle of this work ethic, you're going to have days where the smarter decision is to not work. And you need to learn to balance this with your coping mechanisms of trying to avoid the painful work, right? Because you can't just like cope about this and just not work. It's like, oh, it's really hard and I want to just take the day off. Like, you gotta know when your body is like telling the truth. Because sometimes you'll feel resistance towards working because it's painful. And sometimes one of those resistances you will tell yourself is, oh, this is just burnout and I need to take the day off. It's not always the case. It's very hard to actually burn yourself out. It can be done, but it's quite difficult because you have to work like really hard for really long. But the point I'm making is, like, even for me now, like, I've been doing this for like 4 years, and there are days like when I'm exhausted and I've overdone it and I've overcooked it, where I haven't recovered properly and I've just overcooked my brain, that I will just, like, some random Thursday that I'll just be like, not today. And like, that's fine to do if it's the product of exhaustion. Like, when, like, I'm talking like when you're really like irate and ratty and you're just like, not today. And it's fine to do that once in a blue moon. It's when you do it every week, it starts to become a little, every 2 weeks, every month, not even then. But like, sometimes you just gotta, like, you go to sit down at your desk and nothing makes sense and everything pisses you off and you're just exhausted and you're kind of sick and you haven't slept well and you can't focus and you're just like, not today. I'm just going to do the bare minimum today and just go for a walk and then probably just watch some documentaries for like 12 hours. Like, that happens and it's fine. And you don't need to like punish yourself for that unless you're doing it because you're being a pussy, right? It's only when you're exhausted that you should allow yourself to do that. And then number 29 is rest as hard as you work. Now, not in terms of the amount of hours, because obviously it's impossible to rest. Well, to be fair, it is actually kind of binary, because if you're working for 12 hours, then the other 12 hours naturally are not working, which pretty much are rest. But obviously, like, sleep I'm talking about here, right, is kind of the main rest. But
the intensity of which you rest, like you need to focus on recovery just as much as you focus on work. In the same way that if you were an athlete or trying to compete in a sport, you understand this, like your body needs time to recover. Like if you ran a marathon tomorrow, like you'd probably have to recover for a few days afterwards, right? And so what this means is you need to realize that it's kind of a hack, because for me, resting is working, because the only reason I rest is to work. If I could work for 16 hours a day and, you know, wake up, work for 16 hours, go to sleep, and then do it all over again and just robotically do that, I absolutely would. But I can't, because I burn out. And I've found that not having like 3 hours or 4 hours before bed to properly wind down and have like a social life, and you have things that you need, like outside of work, like you need to have like some sense of belonging. You need a intimate relationship. You need to have, you know, friendship groups. You need to have like the odd thing that gets you out of the house. You need to take care of your body. Like these are like core physiological, biological needs that are non-negotiable. Like God or the universe just program them into us to like nerf us and slow us down. I'm joking. It's not a nerf. You know what I mean? That's hilarious. You might not find that hilarious, to be fair, but you know, you have these needs, and so like you want to make sure that they're met, and so you have to rest to meet them, and you want to just learn to understand that we rest so we can go again. Like practice, recover, practice, recover, practice, recover. They're the same thing. The rest is the work, because the rest allows you to work. It gives assent to productivity. And a lot of people, they look at rest, they look at recovery, and they demonize it. And they see it as this like evil thing that they feel guilty for doing. But you've got to understand that why are you resting? It's so that you can work again. I'll give you an example. I really overdid it and really burned myself out very recently. And I went on holiday for a week, and I went to Crete. And I got back from that holiday last week. And I was in Crete with my girlfriend for a week. We had this really nice villa, and all I did for the entire week, I didn't think about work once. I didn't open work once. I completely shut off from work. All I did for a week was drink beers, eat junk food, smoke cigarettes, and watch Netflix. And it was amazing. But that was off the back of like a 7 or 8 month hideous work stint. And I got to this point where like, I just finished a mastermind event, like one of those in-person events that I do for all of my like top clients. And those are exhausting. And I then had to record. So I'd done this massive ad recording batch, and I just finished launching the academy, or finishing the recordings of the academy. And I was just wiped. I was just like I was just at this point, like I was just burned out. I'd hit this like psychological and biological limit after like having done that for like 8 months straight, where I was just genuinely just cooked. Like I would sit down to work, and I was just like all emotional about it, and I was just like completely fried, just fucked. Like my entire body and brain was just like, nah, done. So I said to my girlfriend, I was like, right, we're going on holiday. And then literally 2 days later, we were on the plane. So it was just, I kind of got to that. I've usually scheduled my holidays. I'm usually smarter than this, but it kind of got to that breaking point. And all I did for a week was like just drink beers, smoke cigarettes. And by the way, I don't smoke and I don't drink. So you know it's bad. I literally just like, I'd wake up at like 11, drink like 2 beers, have 2 cigarettes. My girlfriend would then cook me this massive like Greek lunch that was just basically just like carb heaven. And I would just eat that, vegetate for like 8 hours, watch a bunch of shows, watch a bunch of movies, go into like see the towns and stuff. And I did that for like a week. No guilt. I had no shame behind it, because A, I had to do it from exhaustion, but B, I knew that by doing that, I can then go again for 6 months. Like rest and recovery is productive. It might not feel it because there's no direct cause and effect association between resting and achieving results, but there's a direct cause and effect between your rest and being able to work more. And then being able to work more causes the result, which makes you rich and makes you a load of money. So don't be afraid to rest. Just don't take the piss with it. Like treat yourself like you're your own employee or something, and just, you know, give them like, give that thing like a certain amount of holiday and a certain amount of downtime, and learn to manage it and stuff. So yeah, that's the list. That's my 29-step protocol to working and focusing for 12 hours a day like a millionaire CEO. And I know that this works because I literally did it myself, and I still do it myself, and I am a millionaire CEO. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you're still here, hats off to you, to be fair, because this is a long video and there's not much stimulation involved. Go to this link.
school.com/academy. It's a 6-week program that will show you how to start a business and sign your first few clients and achieve financial freedom. And you'll love it. It's completely free. There's no credit card or anything. So yeah, that's it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace.